So my name is Assaf. I'm super excited to be here. I'm one of Midburn's co-founders, and up until October of 2021, I was also regional contact for Israel. I would really appreciate it if your cameras will be on, so I'll feel that I'm talking to real people. Um, Also, yeah, just I'm really excited. So this is it's been traveling in my mind for the past oh decade or so. And I'm really excited to share it. What I would like us to do now is if possible, please like 2, 3 people, please share your Burning Man moment or regional event moment. That moment that you were in like an event or in real life and something clicked and you had like an epiphany is a big word, but like you had a moment realizing some substantial truth about yourself. You can just go. Or be shy. That's also an option. Um,
I won't be shy. My aha moment was, I think it was 2013. I brought my mother, who was 97 at the time, to a regional event. And everybody was so friendly and fun. And she was like shocked that people were giving things away and kept wanting to pay everyone. And everybody took the time to spend time with her. My she was on the dance floor at a one section that was like a rave, and all these wonderful people were dancing with her. And my aha moment came the next day. She called me up and thanked me for bringing her, and she loved everybody and thought it was so interesting. And what she said to me is, "I finally understand you." and, and I went, "What do you mean by that, Mom?" And she said, "Well, I always knew you were different." And she said, and I get you now. She said, "You're unique and you're special. And because you shared this with me, I got to understand you better. And of course, all of your friends too, that are just the same, unique and special." So that was my aha, that I found a place where I got to be exactly who I am. And my mom got it.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, we had in our camp a young man from Australia who had grown up in a very small, very conservative cattle town. And at the end of the burn, we always ask our people, what surprised you the most? What did you not expect? And he said, if anybody had told me that by Wednesday, I would be sitting and talking to a really hot girl, totally naked, and I would be looking at her face and more interested in what she was talking about than what she wasn't wearing, I would have told you were out of your mind. He said, when I first arrived here, it was like, oh my God, boobs. Oh my God, boobs. Oh my God, boobs. And it hit me that this is one of the things that Burning Man does. It teaches people to look at things in a completely different way. That he realized that nudity, what you were or weren't wearing, had nothing to do with who you are.
So hi, my name is Iris. Actually, I'm from Israel also. Hi, Assaf. My story goes to 2018. Back then, I was working at the Midburn Association. Hi, Iris. working at the Midburn Association, and I went to Burning Man. And I remember it was like 6 o'clock in the morning one day, and my background basically is theater and classical music. 2018, my entire camp were riding at 5 o'clock in the morning somewhere to see a sunset and see a DJ set of something. And then everybody said, the orchestra is playing Under the Orb, let's go there. And I remember we went there and there was somehow a huge symphony orchestra under the orb playing Beethoven Ninth Final Chapter. And then at some point they stopped everything and they were giving to the audience a small like kazoo whistles. And everybody knows Beethoven Ninth and everybody kind of joined in. And I looked at it and I said, it's completely surreal. It's like all my worlds are merging in that specific moment. You had like the feeling that everything is possible because you're standing in the middle of the desert, you hear classical music, which is my heart and soul. You're joining, you're participating also in this, and there is a guy on the side doing hot dogs. So that was my moment. I actually even have a couple of seconds of it still on my phone.
That is awesome. Thank you. So I will share with you my aha moments and a moment and another moment later in my burner life cycle that were really important in defining what I'm about to share with you. And it's not a complicated model. It's something that it evolved by looking at analyzing Midburn and analyzing other regional events, and also looking at my fellow burner friends and what happened in their life. So in any point of time, feel free to ask any question in the chat, or just unmute yourself and ask me a question. This is not a lecture mode. I will start by telling you about myself and the model. So on the left of your screen, you can see me in 2009 when I had hair, lots of it. So 09 was my first Burning Man experience. And I remember walking through the playa, and about on the fourth day, I realized that I can actually do anything I want. It goes as deep as the rabbit hole goes, and any deep wish I have, I probably be able to find it on playa. And I remember this moment of thinking, so no one knows me, and there's no actual limitation. I can find anything and do anything. So why am I still not doing anything I want? And I had this aha moment of realizing that the only thing limiting me here in this amazing place is myself. No outside agency of any sort. And that sent me to, it was a very defining moment in my life, and it allowed me to release myself of the being dependent on any outside agencies to define what I can or cannot do. And this was my aha moment, the first one, and I'll share with you the 3 stages model to the burner life cycle. The first stage of the burner life cycle, as I see it, is the shock. So you know those moments. You see someone walking around, and it doesn't matter if it's in Black Rock City or a regional event. You see them with their jaw dropped and like. And my first question to you is, do you remember your shock moment and what caused it? And I would like someone to share if possible. You can do it either in the chat or talking. So, okay, I see I have a shy crowd. Or that you maybe don't remember the exact moment, but can you at least share? Have you seen people walking around shocked, not knowing like what happened to them, like trying to grasp this entire space and going with it in it? Oh, so we have comments in the chat. So Lexi is sitting on top of her RV, first evening of first day of Burning Man, and looking out on Playa, just thinking, wow, anyone can feel the same. If you can feel the same, comment. Timon, my first burn Black Rock City, standing in front of the giant whale and being overwhelmed by its beauty and all that was going on that night. Amazing. Jacques, if I'm saying it correctly. My first year, 2011, I was already the older generation at 59, and I was shocked when a younger crowd didn't seem to take age into account. I was welcomed. Lexi, the visual beauty and the beauty of possibilities. Everyone, at least in the way I saw it, everyone entering this culture the first time goes through a phase of shock. And I'll explain what happens in this stage. You basically, in my perception, there's no default world, only default us. And that shock stage is that moment when you put question marks on your default perceptions of reality. So you walk around and you see this age, and you're saying, okay, wait, there's no one relates to age and something very special. You start questioning the default way you perceive reality, and this beauty and everyone sharing and the gifting economy and all this amazing art, and you go through a phase of questioning the default perception of reality, and that is what creates that shock. You start to create a gap between your I'll call it normal default self and how you perceive yourself in this reality, because there's no longer 100% match between that. And you understand that uh, um, the old you cannot exist in this new place. And this alone sends you on the second stage. Now, I bet you've seen that many times. You could be shocked for a day, you can be shocked for the entire length of the event. This is not something that is defined in the actual time. It's that phase of a gap is starting to form between the old self and the new self, or the default me and the evolving me. Any questions on this stage before I continue? Second stage, the first stage sends us into the second stage, and that is the seeking stage. Now that the old self or the default self or is no longer relevant, I'm left with a gap of not knowing who I am. And I don't know if you've ever experienced not knowing who you are. It could be a very painful experience in the existential level of it's almost like a small death that you experience of who the way you see yourself, and that sends you to a seeking stage, and that stage is amazing because you get to experience all those amazing things. You want to experience volunteering. I'll share it from a personal story. So I was walking around shocked in my first year on Playa. Second year in Black Rock City, I had the same shock but from a different angle. And I was walking around Playa, and I arrived at Center Cafe, and everyone was super happy. So there was a long line, and someone started complaining about the line, and this barista stood up on the table and said, "Hey, this is not Starbucks. This is Burning Man, and you don't have to stand in line the same way you're waiting for a coffee anywhere else." I'm like, I want to practice. I want to play with that. So I started volunteering for Center Cafe. And in the seeking stage, it sends you, do I want to unleash my black shirts and inner badassness? So maybe I'll go and volunteer for Gate. And that was also an amazing experience. So the seeking stage sends you on this exploration of self through participation, through being a part of different things, trying to understand who you are. And eventually, and again, all of the stages are not defined in time. So eventually you find something. So eventually you find something that is burning inside you. You discover that thing because you stripped down the old self and you started participating in different things. Maybe you discover this inner voice of your deepest burning desire saying, I want to do that. And I want you to share, because if you're here, you definitely experienced that. You had that moment where you experienced that I have this thing, it's so burning inside me so strongly that I have to make it happen. I cannot sleep, I cannot eat. When I sleep, I dream about it. When I'm sitting in the bathroom, I'm thinking about it. It doesn't leave me. And I would like you to please share those things that you've discovered that were burning inside you so strongly that you just had to do them. And it doesn't matter if it's in a burn event or in life. I'll stop sharing so I can see all of you. The third stage is the radical self-expression. It's a burning desire from the inside, okay? Something that you feel that you have to create in this world. You cannot wait another second before, uh, it's not a matter of question. You just know that you have to make it happen because it doesn't, uh, there's no choice. It comes from within you. So let's see what's in the chat. Chuck, I knew I had to be part of what brings Burning Man into the default world. I agree. I agree. That's one of the main forces that drove me into being a part of Midburn in the early stages. Kathleen, I thought stage 3 was when no longer cared about the outfits anymore. I guess it's inside it just being me, not clothes. It's definitely one of the outcomes of it. Sandy, I love being naked in public, and I had to quit my corporate job to express my life purpose. That's amazing. Burning Man helped me, Kendrick. Burning Man helped me actualize a volunteering lifestyle, which makes living this capitalistic oppressive world feel slightly less horrible. Okay, so that's amazing. All those things are things that you cannot stop. It's a part of it becomes a part of who you are. And what I would like us to do now, I will split us into small groups, and we have about 5 minutes of just sharing where are we in this journey. Am I still in the shock stage? Am I seeking? Am I in the radical self-expression? Do I have this burning desire project at the moment? Do I not find myself in any of them? Am I lost? Am I burnt out? These are all great questions. So I'll say it again. We will split into breakout rooms, and I want you to share, where are you now in this experience? What stage do you see yourself in? Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back. Now being recorded. Um, so I hope it was fun talking to each other. I shared with you the three stages, but I did not share how you get to all of them. So I'm gonna share my screen again. So from the first stage, you basically go into the second stage of seeking, and it's almost like it's the force that is pushing you there is that you don't feel comfortable anymore with the old self. So you're seeking a new self. But the transfer between the second stage and the third stage, between seeking into the radical self-expression, uh, um, is a force that you don't choose. It chooses you. It's something. It's almost like stumbling upon your life's mission. It's you experiment with all those things, and eventually you find it finds you. You're that vessel of of manifesting that amazing thing on this planet. What do you think? And I would love responses in the chat. Creates that stage of shock. Sandy, that's amazing. The radical self-expression of others, sensory overload. Any other comments? Realizing there is no world of connection out there in our disconnected world, completely different way of doing community. Amazing. From what I have observed, it's the inspiration that comes from seeing other people expressing themselves in this radical way, because it's so different from what we find in the default world or outside of the burn culture, that it pushes you away to understanding that you can be that, you can do that. It is possible. Seeing that humans are capable of so much more than what I thought, because only by experiencing it at Burning Man you can understand this. So you've definitely experienced that, of trying to explain Burning Man to someone who haven't been there, and not being able, because there's like this gentle frequency of you cannot describe how everything, like how your life changed or all those things, because it's just by exposure of seeing all those things. And on the other hand, we've all met burners that never been to a burn event or Black Rock City or anywhere, and they're just living their life in this matter, and you're like that sense of familiarity of understanding each other also exists with those people because um, we broke free of our default self and we are allowing ourselves to be this radical expression of ourselves. So one of the biggest questions was, okay, but how? This is a personal process, which is amazing to contemplate and think about. This is not a self-development seminar or workshop. This is a transformative experience. But how does that relate? And the talk was the health of my community. How do you think that this model relates to the health of your community? And I would love to hear answers. If you're brave, please talk to me. Any ideas on how this
Okay.
relates to?
I see what bringing the Burning Man culture into the default world can do. The Arizona burners have events they support. The Walter Group is very big on doing public events. And you see the same reaction on the general public when they go to an event where the art is interactive, you're expected to participate. And it really, you can see their minds kind of turning and going, wait, this is a different way to do things. And I think even a little of that can be transformative into someone's life.
Definitely. When you look at your theme camp or regional event, I want you to take like a pen and paper or in a digital way, try to, and I'll stop my screen share. I want you to try now and take a look at your theme camp or regional event and analyze it and see how many people do I have in stage 1 in my events, like completely new to this, shocked, allowing themselves to experience this. How many people are seeking themselves inside my event, allowing this mobility of experiences? And how many people do I have in my event that are radically self-expressing themselves at the moment and in stage 3? And this analysis is key to the health, and we'll do it in a minute. So take a minute now and really take a good look at your event or theme camp and try to analyze how many completely new versions do I have that are. Also ask yourself, am I allowing this? We'll go later into am I allowing this, but just let's start from fresh look at things. How many people, like in percentage, do you have in each stage? And I would love you to share. You can do it in chat or you can do it by unmuting yourself and talking. So there is a big question of allowance. So there are no prerequisites to be a part of our culture, but ask yourself, am I really allowing people that are experiencing my event or my camp for the first time, am I really allowing them to be free of their default selves? Or do I need an accountant to do the spreadsheets of the theme camp? Or do I need someone that has an experience with logistics or all those things, when I'm telling them, hey, I know that you're a virgin, but do you want to do this and that? So this is a very important question. Am I allowing people the freedom to be shocked? One of the things that I love about Burning Man is that in order to volunteer for any department, you have to experience 1 year on the playa not doing anything. This allows, in my perspective, the shock or the freedom to be shocked. For the second stage, ask yourself, am I allowing people to stop doing something if they're not happy with it? Or am I allowing people that are not experiencing something to participate in a way? So how much freedom do I have for mobility in all of the things that I can do on play or in my camp or in any manifestation of the burn culture? So if I'm, I'll share this with a story about the hand of inspiration. So in 2013, I think, was the Circle of Regional Effigies, the core project. Someone can help me? 13, 12?
Oh, no, it was 3 years, 11, 12, and 13.
Awesome. So we built the Hand of Inspiration, which was an awesome project to be part of. And it's really hard to build an art project on Playa, and it was really electronic. Like you had a drum circle at the bottom and LED lights running up the hand, and every time you hit a drum, it will send a pulse up the hand. And it was really hard to build it. And one of our crew members was in charge of the electronics, and everything worked great back home, but on Playa all the sensors were mad, and he was sitting there and he was welding and he was bitter and it was unpleasant, and it was like you couldn't go near him because he was like gonna shout at you and all those things. And one of the remember when I talked about in the beginning about aha moment, the second aha moment was when Alon Vision, which was another crew member, came to him and told him, stop doing what you're doing at the moment. And he was like, no, but we have to keep doing it, and we have to. And he told him, if you cannot do it happy, you're doing two things. A, you're robbing someone that could have been doing this happy the chance of doing it, and you're definitely ruining the experience for all of us, because you just don't want to be near you. And they threw a few things at each other, power tools and stuff, but eventually they both realized that it was true. And the question of the second stage is, am I allowing enough mobility in all those projects that are available? Am I allowing mobility of people saying, even if they're really good at it, but they're not doing it from some sort of a passion, am I allowing them the chance to go and explore something new? And the third, the question of the third stage, when you examine your community, is: do I have enough people that are doing this? Do I have enough people that are expressing their deepest desires from within in this event or that I've created? Because if not, I might have the AliExpress version of a burn. A lot of people that Googled what does Burning Man look like and shopped for all those things. And it's when you're walking, you probably felt it sometimes. You're walking in those events and you're like, this looks the same, but it doesn't feel the same. And if your community looks, or your event looks the same, but doesn't quite feel the same, ask yourself, do I have enough people? Am I allowing them? Because it's hard, you have to break through all the stages. Am I really allowing them the mobility to really find themselves? And am I making this experience as smooth as possible for them, logistically? Or let's say that it happens in a theme camp. And if you ran a theme camp, you know that if you have someone that is doing something and is good at it, you don't want to let go of him, in any position. But am I allowing someone to do this transition? To what can we do to encourage? So, and that is the third stage in the questioning of is my community healthy? Now, this is an open source model. I don't know the exact percentage. I know that most of the people should be seeking, because that's the most natural stage. And I need, let's say that's, in my perspective, 25% of people that are in complete shock, 50% of people that are seeking themselves inside of it, and 25% that are inspiring everyone else to really be themselves. I would love to hear how you view it, and if you see, and how you see it. Also, I think we have 10 more minutes, right? So I would love to hear from you. How do you see the importance of each group, or and the amount of how many people you need? And no, let's start with, say, with 2 questions. How do you see the right division between the 3 stages in a healthy community? Not everyone at once. How do I guess? Jacques?
Jackie,
Jackie?
or you can
Jackie,
pronounce it
sorry.
purple. Most everybody pronounces it purple.
Awesome, purple. Yes,
So,
please share.
are you asking which of those stages you want to be predominant, or should it be even? Or the way I see it is, the more chalk you've got, the more ambition you have to get to the next level of seeking.
You cannot have people shocked if you don't have enough people in the 3rd stage expressing themselves.
Okay, that's good.
So I'm wondering how you see the balance, or if you even see a balance, if you think it's important in any way.
Well, I think it's good to have a sort of a balance, but when you get to the seeking stage, do they need more guidance or encouragement? I mean, shock, it's easy to find your way to seeking, but is it always easy to find your way out of seeking and to discover who you really are?
It's a good question. I think it's my experience still taught me that you cannot stop. Like Midburn, I couldn't stop. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I had to do it until I couldn't do it anymore. So I think it's a question of allowance. How much do we allow as a community to change our roles? Like if I did something and I was really good at it, how much allowance as a community do we have to change that, to experience something new? From my observation globally in the global network, this is a very hard stage because there are a lot of expectations of people doing things at that point of especially if they're good at it. If you're not good at it, no one actually cares if you leave. But if we're good at something, but you want to try something new because it's not coming from a passion, then I'm wondering how different communities can support that stage.
I think it's important to recognize that moving through stages, I had written earlier, is not linear necessarily. Much like the stages of grief, we go from one extreme to another, and allowing that to happen with support as an entire community. Somebody might be in the seeking stage, and let's say they're finding where they fit in, and then they reach that point and they're at radical self-expression. And I think there's another stage, which is burnout, got to take a break, and then reinvent yourself, or maybe that another stage could be reinvent yourself. So as a regional contact, just noticing that in our community, we have one particular community member that is just always doing something. It's been nonstop for years. And I just want to say to him, pace yourself, let others step in, and don't be as creative this week. Let somebody else do it. I think sometimes stepping in and stepping aside is important in our community. And I think what I notice is when people are passionate about something and they're talking about something, and they're going, well, what do you guys think of this? That, for me, immediately, it's like, we need that person on that. And so I typically volunteer them. But I think it's a flow. And I guess we could be out of balance, but I think ultimately it's finding that balance in a community where one person isn't doing everything. And, and people, it's okay to be burnt out and somebody's got your back. And, let you breathe a little bit and not judge you for it. And then, bam, all of a sudden, you go from burnout to like shock again, like, this is amazing. So that was kind of a long story short, I guess.
Awesome. But it's amazing because it leads me to the next stage. And this is it's a spiral model. When you reach the end when you reach the end of stage 3, you either, so when you reach the end of stage 3, 3 things can happen. One, you will hold on to it with your dear life and you will burn out and become bitter. The second one is you will go and find an environment that will send you back into that shock and like, wow, amazing, new inspiration. I just leveled up on my inspiration from the regional network. Or me understanding that, you know what, I'm done. This has to end, and now I need to continue. From what I noticed, this is not this is always a question that is hard to answer. It's very, very personal. But I've met a lot of leaders in the regional network that don't really know how and when to let go. If you're a founder, then it becomes even a bigger problem. I know that I personally had that, when to let go of something that you helped to create. So it takes you to 3 stages, again, and it's a choice, whether it's a conscious choice or unconscious choice. Because if you stay for too long and you don't have that fire inside you anymore, you take the place of someone that has that fire from the inside. And there was a great question in the chat. What happens when no one else wants to step into a role someone else has grown out of? And this is a question of bravery, of how brave are we, not having someone to replace you. I'll go back to the hand of inspiration story. What our amazing tech guy said, but if I won't do it, it won't be ready and we won't have it. And then we told him, so we won't. And nothing will happen other than we won't have cool LED lights. But you cannot continue to work like that. This is not why you flew halfway across the globe to the desert to be miserable sitting in front of your laptop. You can do that at home. And it's a question of the leadership of being honest with yourself and others and saying, we might not have enough people to run the event we want to run. But if we don't have enough people running the event happy, is it really worth pursuing that in that specific way? If no one wants to do gate shifts, no one wants to express themselves through gate. Does that, like, what does that mean? If you're brave enough to evolve to whatever is guiding you from that inner fire, you will discover new things that are possible. In my perspective, the default experience of this is how it should be done because this is how it's done is might be limiting. But I want to hear you, because I feel that it's a pain that is shared across the network of how we support in our leadership roles. How do we support people going to the seeking stage again? And for us, I personally, I know that going into the seeking stage again is very painful. I used to be famous at Midburn. Everyone used to know me. I took a long break because I had to let it grow into a new thing. And now I come to event and no one knows me. And it's something that I personally have to learn. Who am I in this area again? So I would like to hear experiences from you. If you've experienced that, if you've dealt with someone, and how you think as a community we can support our leadership and participants into evolving into their next level. Again, not everyone at once.
If I can say something, This is a really good presentation. All your stuff, talking about the 3 stages, is really leading to this, what is the 4th stage, right? What is the next stage? We have an idea and a concept of elderhood. And what we've found is that that works for some people. And what that is basically is, let's say somebody stops going to the big event in Nevada, stops going to the regionals, still friends with the burners, still wants to be in it, but feels like because they don't participate, they still aren't, they're outside, right? They're kind of an excommunicated, whatever. And we really are trying to big an inclusiveness of keeping that stage, that further stage of where do they go, with the door always being open for people to come back. And we have found that after 5, 6, 8 years, people's lives change, and they do have that desire to recharge. And we have found it's almost like you have to become a virgin again. And how do you do that when you have maybe 15 years of experience in there? And a lot of it is breaking down the ego, breaking down that sense of self, of not being familiar and putting yourself in another thing. And we have found that sometimes it's really good to re-engage into non-familiar communities. So let's say somebody's, kind of a really big in a certain regional, and they've been there, very active, and there's somebody that's, really high up. Is you almost have to just blindly go somewhere where nobody does know you, and become a virgin to that experience, right? And see that again for you, because you change, right? The community as ours, it's been 24 years of the regional network, but many years of Burning Man. The events changed, the communities changed, and we change. And I think you have to allow for that part in the final stage, is to say, how does somebody go through 20 years, but still want to be active in Burning Man for 40 years, 45 years? They no longer go to events, they no longer participate, but they still want to be there. How do you retain those people? And we have come up with the concept in the Love Burn community of the idea of creating elderhood. It's not a non-official thing, but it's the idea of where it goes to and keeping those people kind of in the fold, so to speak, right? Doors always open. You want to come back in, do these things. And we found that works.
Jorg?
Yeah,
Am I pronouncing it right?
quite interested. I like the word elderhood. Here, I wanted to ask, does that become a ticket category for you then? How do you make sure these people can come back when the events are constantly sold out all the time?
No, it's not a ticket. It has nothing to do with the event. So what it is it's more about the community and about staying close as friends.
Okay.
Burning Man itself and the burner communities can be quite cliquish and quite like, hey, that burnier than thou. And what happens is if somebody no longer quote unquote burns anymore, or burns like they used to, and they've gone through the radical self-expression story and a stage, and now they come out and they say, I'm just exhausted, I'm burned out. It's not a rejection of the community. It's not a rejection of the events. What it is more or less that person's just going through something, and whatever that stage is to still say, okay, we're here. We're always, there. We have found in the past that sometimes people would take it personally as a rejection of them, saying, well, this person hates Burning Man. This person's against everything, or they're a sellout, or they've moved on, or we're not good enough for them anymore. When in fact, that's not the case. 9 out of 10 times, it's just people are going through their own personal gestation into their own personal evolutions. And Burning Man might not be involved in it at that stage. Burning Man is kind of a lifting event. I see it sometimes. It helps people get to where they need to go. It's not the end all be all. It's an event that kind of gives you some a supercharged rocket on your back to maybe get to that goal. But your goal is your own personal journey. So we try to stay aware of that.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Thank you for putting it in these amazing words. I totally agree. I actually so agree that I changed the presentation, and there's a 4th stage of becoming a virgin again, and that's awesome. This is we have 8 more minutes, and I would love to hear from you. Anything. What are you taking from this session? Can you see if it's useful to view your community within that model? Do you see it helpful for other people to understand where they are? Is it helpful? And yeah, Super Suze?
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, Super Sue's here with Burn 2 Regional in Second Life, which is a virtual regional. It's been around a long time. And how does this theory fit into what we're going through, which is some of the things that I've been noticing is we've had recently a lot of full-time, we'll call them full-time volunteers who work a lot of hours and spend a lot of time. They have the hours to spend it, and they're engaged a lot, and they're in leadership positions, many of them. And what we're experiencing now is trying to balance the idea of sustainability in their department, to understand that we need to look at the duties and the roles of each department, share that information so that it's transparent, so that we can all see who's doing what and know who to get the answers, but also to see if anyone would like to participate in that department under their wing and start to develop additional co-leaders or somebody who knows what they know besides just one person. And that is a big hurdle because they've been doing it a long time, and there's a lot of empowerment and ownership and the responsibility and the power that has been created over time in those positions. It provides them with space in the community, important space. They're important. And it's really, really hard for us right now to as leaders, let others take different departments and take some of the roles and duties of my department, let's say, and move it into another one who is newly developed, for example. And so right now we're going through, we're spending a lot of time. Like, we already have 2 meetings every single week. And those are just planning meetings. Those are not leadership meetings. Now we're doing these leadership meetings. And we're concentrating on, show us your duties. What are your responsibilities and duties? Let's hash them out and question. And if there's any questions or concerns about who's doing what, or so that's been really helpful. And I recommend that you do that. But where I find the difficulty is at this stage is how do we spread the community involvement to allow others to feel the way that they do and have that sense of responsibility and duty that they've earned over time from their time that they've spent. Like, we have put people in position who we trust, and how do we share that? That's enough. Thanks.
Thank you. We have like the last 4 minutes. So I'll answer in my view. It's an open talk that states that, hey, this is happening, and it's about letting go of the ego and the definition of this is like this. I know it defines them. It used to define me, and it's painful to let that go. But in order to have a healthy leadership and community, you have to let it go, because leading an event or a burn culture happening is not about the default world ego and hierarchy of how we run things. And it should be an open conversation for the entire community, not just the leadership of that event. I would love to hear more things that you're taking from this session. And it's really important to me to know if you see this as a helpful tool to look at your community and help it transition to be more healthy.